look at you at all, but you can just be there. Willem's gonna take a nap. I didn't bring any hummus. We have cucumbers, but no hummus, and peppers. Willem packed. I didn't make hummus. If I had made hummus, he could have brought that too. I did cook all those soybeans the other day. Not soybeans, chickpeas. But I never looked at them because that was the day when we had our campfire.
Save 30 minutes via Highway 7.
And we spent the whole day having a campfire. And then today, or yesterday I mean, Thursday, I was in a lot of pain, I guess, from all the work I did on Wednesday during the campfire and all that time in the teepee. Wasn't that a lovely time?
In 600 meters, turn right onto Dufferin.
So I just hung around all day. I had nothing to talk about. I was not in a bubbly, joyful mood. I was just pretty blah. Sitting in front of the television, searching for something interesting to watch, but everything seemed to be a rehash of everything else. Anyway, and it was the most beautiful day too. There was this beautiful, I guess it had rained and snowed together, and so there was all this frozen snow on the tree branches.
At the next light,
and then on
turn
top
right.
of that was some new snow. It was so beautiful, and it was like I should have gone from every window and took pictures. You know, it was just the most beautiful scene, every window, but I couldn't. I just sat in the chair and just didn't do anything worthwhile at all. So that's why I didn't make a live video, because what's the use of making a live video if you just can't even open your mouth and say something? But Willem was out there and he shoveled the driveway. There had been fresh snow, and so the dike was just fresh snow. Like the previous, but you know, he had spent the evening before. I went to bed, I don't know what time, maybe 9, and he stayed up.
At light,
and he
turn right onto Dufferin Street.
Shoveled the stuff that had come off the roof. He shoveled it until 3 a.m.
In 2 kilometers, turn right onto Bathurst Street.
Snowblower. First he did it with a snowblower, and then the snowblower couldn't go through it anymore because it was getting colder as he worked. And so finally it was frozen, and when I got up in the morning it was like solid ice in all the lumpy bumps of what comes off the roof. You get this huge thick layer. It wasn't too bad. It was probably about a foot thick in the worst of it. And it had all these snowballs all over it, small different sizes, and it was all chunks of ice. Everything was ice. A little snowball had fallen on the deck where there was nothing else. And it was so hard. I kicked it with my foot and it was just like it was made of stone. Anyway, so what's on this deck is staying there till it thaws, which is fine. I'll just make a path over it because it's solid. It's hard as a rock. You're not falling through it when you drive. I mean, when you walk on it. And the day before that, I had a lot of excitement. You know, I got to go out there and snowshoe. I even snowshoed down at the grass hut. I snowshoed all the way to the stream. You know, I look at all these houses that we're passing in Ottawa. All sorts of great big giant houses. And they're all right next to each other. I don't like being first going through intersections. I don't like, you know, if we've all been at a red light, I don't like being the one that is in the front of the parade, because when I go through the red light, well, when it's green, when I go to the green light and go through it, if I'm the first one since the whole pack that were stopped at the last light, then I'm the one that's going to get hit if somebody goes shooting through the intersection when they're not supposed to. There's a lot of drifts, a lot of slushy stuff that's on the road in little places. Not very thick. It's actually quite pretty out there. Look at that. What is this? The East Don River in the York region. You can look that up. We are driving on, I don't know what this one is, Rutherford Road. So Rutherford Road at the Don River.
At the next
Don
light,
River
turn
is
right.
where that's down at the end of that, where it meets Lake Ontario, is where they filmed Murdoch Mysteries. I wanted to stop at a grocery store here and get some hummus and maybe some junk food that I want to eat, which I shouldn't be eating because I keep getting bigger. I have to stop. It doesn't stop. If you keep eating, you keep getting bigger. You just keep getting bigger and bigger.
At the light, turn right onto Bathurst Street.
To how big you can get. If you eat more than you use up every day, you get bigger. And I'm getting bigger, which is kind of a situation because I like to eat, especially junk food, like corn chips, you know. Anyway, I was looking at these houses and how close they are to one another, and I was thinking that, you know, the people that live in these beautiful, big, fancy houses, they don't have a teepee. They don't have a... Sorry, I had to get rid of that crap. Hi, Grateful. We're at a stoplight, a red light. In fact, at Bathurst. We're in Bathurst and Rutherford Road. Just in case you want to know. And I can't show it to you because as much as I would like to share like what it looked like at the Don River, how pretty that was, all the trees down in the valley were covered with snow and it was really pretty. You know, all these big houses, nobody has a big huge backyard like I do and a big huge front yard and all those trees and all those hills. I'm so blessed. I'm really blessed. I don't think that all of us people who live in the country realize how blessed we are until you happen to go to a city. And people in the city like their life. They like being city people. They like all the city things that people can do in a city, which you can't do in the woods. But me, I like all the stuff that you can't do in the city.
In 2.1 kilometers, turn right onto Yonge
Why
Street.
is it dinging? Is it because we are in a children crossing area where it's 50 miles an hour, and how fast am I going? I'm going 50 kilometers an hour, sorry, not 50 miles an hour in the school area. So we're now crossing the East Don River. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Did you see that, Willem? Oh, that was so pretty. I like rivers when I love waterways. You know, that was another thing about yesterday. See, I went out early in the morning and I filled the feeders, all the teacup trail feeders for the deer, for Bucky, and I was really chilled. My hands were really cold. I just was really cold after that. And hadn't dressed well enough. And so as much as I wanted to go down to the stream, you know, and I could have probably just easily walked right on the snow all the way from the road to the stream and not even had to snowshoe. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I guess I was in a lot of pain. I guess that's what it was. And it hurt too much to do anything, and so I just sat. Because it didn't hurt when I sat. I didn't write or I didn't do anything. I tried to play Minecraft for a little while, but nothing really held any interest to me. So in the end, I gave up and went to bed, which was just as well because we had to get up at 4:30. Or did we get up at 4:30? What time did we get up?
4:30.
And what time did we leave?
5:25.
We took that long to leave? Almost an hour?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
How
Oh,
different
I had to, yeah.
At the next light,
The
turn
wood
right.
chip wouldn't get started, and I was still some have started, but
Oh, yeah.
then it has to go in a steady space, you know. You don't want it to overheat or to get smoky or to be convinced that it was working.
At the
Hey, this
light,
is
turn
Young
right
Street,
onto
Willem.
Young Street.
Whoa! I lost the diamond. I lost my whole diamond ring. We could go back to our store and you could get me another diamond ring, Mom. What a fun idea.
You lost it along Junction. Maybe we can just walk all of Junction. Maybe we can find it again.
I didn't lose it here. I lost it. Where did I lose it? I remember the diamond fell out. The diamond fell out in the yard. Oh, those are 2 Canada geese. Yeah, as much as I would like to pick the camera up and show it around, well, first of all, it's illegal. You have to use hand-free devices. And so you're hands-free. Unless I touch you to see what you've said. Nobody said anything. Hello? How are all you folks? So there's a lot of news about what's going on in Ottawa. It's very interesting to watch because this shocking blockade that they've done in Ottawa, and it's like water torture to the residents. They've got the horns blaring, hundreds of big, huge truck horns blowing 24 hours a day. I think they may stop in the wee hours of the morning. I think there's a period there when they stop. But the residents are saying that it's continual and that they can't sleep and they haven't slept for a week. Can you imagine what that's doing to them? And they can't get to work because the buses can't come in there to pick them up. So they have to walk an hour to get to the bus stop. And from there they can go.
Stay in the left 2
work.
lanes.
So
In
they have an
1.8
hour
kilometers,
added to
turn
their
right onto
commute,
Bayview Avenue.
And they can't sleep. And they go outside, and if they wear a mask, they get harassed. Some people are scared enough they take their masks off. It's a really scary situation. And the Prime Minister, or I guess the police service in Ottawa, they are scared. They're scared that if they do anything that the crowd could turn violent. What is that? Like scared of a protest.
Stay
That's
in the
not
middle
way
2
it's
lanes.
supposed to be. Anyway, they're in Ottawa. There's a huge
In 900
amount on the
meters,
weekend.
turn
Then
right
the
onto
ones that
Bayview
had to go
Avenue.
to work, they went to work, and they've got booked their hotel rooms to come back this weekend. That's what the hotels are saying. So Toronto, they're showing up in Toronto today. Well, let me tell you what the Toronto mayor is doing. Can't believe it. He's like, whatever the police want to do, go for it. And so what the police have done is all the trucks will be put
Go
in
past
one
this light.
area.
Then at the
where they're
next
out
one,
of the
turn
way.
right.
Everybody. They'll all be put in one area. Everything around Queen's Park, which is the Parliament in Ottawa. I mean, it's the head of the Ontario's,
I mean in Toronto.
Yeah, in Toronto. The Queen's Park is the Toronto location of
At the light, turn right onto Bayview Avenue.
Anyway, so the whole area around Queen's Park is closed. There will be no access by trucks and protests. People can walk from wherever they have their thing. They can take public transportation to wherever it is that it will go to. But all around Queen's Park will have no access. So they can walk in and they can be a protest in person, but they can't bring their big trucks. And rules will be followed to the T. You will get huge fines if you obstruct people going to hospitals. Like right now, they're obstructing people going to hospitals in Ottawa. And so, this one child almost was late for his chemo appointment. And then other people that are just afraid to go out, right? They're afraid to leave their apartments because they get harassed. And people are carrying swastikas. Hi, Regina. I got your message that you missed the video, so I thought I better make one. So we're driving home from Toronto. We've been at the temple all day. So we got 4 hours to drive. Maybe not 4 more hours. I don't know. On the way here, though, this morning, it took a long time extra because we had to drive very slowly. It was snowing when we left home. Never again. We're not driving when it's snowing in the morning. So, it took a long time. The roads hard to see where we were going. It was so nice when the first light appeared. I realized that, oh, wonderful! It's going to get light. You know, like usually when you're out in the dark, it's getting darker, right? You don't usually go out in the dark and stay out until it's light. At least I don't. So anyway, so it's like, wow, this is awesome. Okay, 2.6 kilometers to Highway 404, and we'll take that south to the 401. You know, all these shows we watch of accidents, car accidents, it's really good to watch them ad nauseum, because you see how much can happen if you just touch the edge of the snow. If there's a snowbank close to the road, you just touch
In
it a little bit,
2.8
it
kilometers,
can spin your car
keep right to
around.
merge onto Highway
You can end
404
up
south
going
toward
up on
Highway
the side of it
407.
and flipping over on your roof. Willem took off his seatbelt.
I'm trying to find
Your water,
doggy.
your drink is here.
You know, I'm trying to find
The what? The
the
food?
doggy. You know, not the
Oh,
doggy.
it's on this side. Hold on.
Somewhere, yeah.
The pillow thing.
Yeah.
What do you call it? A doggy? There it
No,
is.
not the dog bone. The other one, the
Oh, that's right.
horseshoe or something. The horse.
I got it almost. Okay, here it is. But it's under a
Okay,
coat.
Okay, I can do the rest.
Okay. That's good because I can't.
All right, that's good.
And seatbelt, quick, before it starts beeping again.
Okay.
There we go. This one is in Chinese, the Bayview Hill Center. I think that was Chinese. Kongi Wong. I guess that's Chinese.
Excuse me.
You have water here if you want.
Okay, I'm good here.
Where are we? 1 kilometer to the 404. So the gas is $1.55 a liter here, but back down the road it was $1.50 a liter. Like there's 3.5.
In 1 kilometer, keep right to merge onto Highway 4.
Or maybe 4. Almost. No, a little less.
3.8 to a US gallon.
3.8 out of 10.
3.8 gallons. 3.8 liters in the US gallon.
So 3.10 would be 4.
No, 3.10 is the same as 3.1.
3 point. All right.
And a Canadian gallon is 4.5.
Stay in the
liters.
middle lane.
4.5. Okay. But the Canadian gallon is a different size.
Yeah.
So
Go
what does
past
that one
this
say?
light.
Mural?
Then at the next one, keep right.
Mural Street.
On the right to
Almost time.
4 south toward Toronto.
I hope that it's not bad down there in Toronto anymore. But I think I don't think we can go any further on here. I think that we'll end up in Markham.
Oh, it's now called 16th Avenue.
Excuse me?
This street is now called 16th Avenue.
It's not, It's Mural Street.
Yeah, that's
And, no, we're on 16th Avenue.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, what was it before? It was Beauvert.
Yeah, there was a few name changes.
I think we're not in Brampton anymore. I think
At
we're
the
in
light,
Richmond.
use the
or-
right lane to keep right to merge onto Highway 404 south toward Highway 407.
Vaughan.
404 is this.
404 South. Anyway, I thought that was so cool that the Toronto police are not going to be putting up with any crap. You said we're not going to have the situation they're having in Ottawa. So if you
Keep
make
right.
noise, you get the noise bylaws. If you harass people, you get the harassment bylaws. You know, like if you park illegally, you get the parking stuff. So that it's so it's like it is for everybody else. You can protest on foot, but you're not going to fill up and clog the entire city and shut down. People can't get to work. They can't get out of their houses. They had to call in sick because they haven't any sleep. It's really not fair. And they're all about freedom, but freedom is not about taking away another person's freedom. Freedom anyway. It's about forcing the government to change its
In
stance.
1.4 kilometers, take the exit to merge onto
Whoa,
Highway 407.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Look at that. Look at this.
They were racing.
Stay in the second lane from right.
I guess I'll just stay in this lane. This lane seems safer. Oh, I can't. I gotta get out of it. Oh, here comes another one.
Use the right two lanes to take the exit to merge onto Highway 407. Take the exit, then keep left to merge onto Highway 407 east.
5, 6 lanes, and not very few cars. All right. Oh, I guess that's an ETR lane. Is that what it's called?
Keep left to merge.
Hey, it's a little cobalt blue and a little alizarin crimson and a little, just a touch of alizarin. Well, it's not even alizarin. It's more like an orangey. It's
In
very
3.5
slight.
kilometers,
And then the
take
cobalt
exit
blue
22
down
onto
the
Steeles
bottom.
Avenue.
I find there's more horns honking, and I've never heard horns honking in Canada really, but after COVID started, I've heard them in Toronto. La 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 la.
In 2
la,
kilometers,
la, la,
take
la.
exit 22
Ooh,
onto
watch
Steeles
yourself
Avenue.
there, guy. You see, when the traffic is flowing less than the speed limit, I think that other people just want to go around and la 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 la. So one guy in Ottawa, one truck driver said if you put on your brakes, if the truck puts on its brakes, it locks the 18 wheels. They're all locked, and you can't move it at all. And he said that no tow truck is going to come and tow them because they're trucks and that they're on their side. But you
Use
know,
the right 2
90% of
lanes to take
truckers are
exit
not on their
22
side.
onto Steeles
90%
Avenue.
of truckers have gotten vaccinated and have a job and are doing their thing. But anyway, so they and the guy says, so the army, they're not calling out the army, but the police are scared to do something. Well, that's just so stupid. Like
Take
the
the
police,
exit,
you have to have a
then
better
turn left
police
onto
presence.
Steeles Avenue East.
You know. Anyway, so what this guy said, that
At
if
the
they
light,
tried
use the
to
left 2
clear
lanes
the
to turn onto
area, and
Steeles
we've all got
Avenue
our
East.
brakes on, they're going to have to bring in. The Army has tow trucks that can tow them, and
You
so
just blow up the trucks and can cart the debris off.
what? They
7
came in with the
kilometers.
Army and
Take
they
exit
took my
14
truck
onto
and they
York
towed
Mills
it
Road.
away. I'm just going to get back in it and just go right around to the back of the line. So then what they have to do is they just have to close off the road at the back of the line and then just tow each one of them one at a time. But you can't be afraid of the protesters. You have to have a bigger police presence. And if the Army is needed, or the National Guard, or whatever we've got, then they should employ that. They can't let people all be breaking all the laws. Parking illegally, you know, they're parking in a place, you park right there behind him and you get a ticket. But he doesn't get a ticket, and they've got this big GoFundMe account for 10 or 17, I don't know what it was, $10 million in this account. But now they've shut it down because it's gonna, you know, never mind. Don Valley Parkway and the 401. So now I go in 1.7, I turn left. I go on the Don Valley Parkway?
Well, it's the continuation of this.
Yeah, I know, but I want to take the 401, so it's going to do that right after.
You have to make sure to know which lane you need to go in.
I need to be in the third one, the fourth one from the left, and the third one from the right. 1, 2, 3. So I have to get over here one more. Now everybody's going to try and go around me.
So you need to take 401 East.
What is that? Is that where I'm going?
No, well, you said. I can't read this one at the moment yet.
It said the third lane from the whatever. Okay, now everybody's stopping up there. Shepherd Avenue.
Keep left toward Don Valley Parkway.
Okay then. 2 lanes exit and the second lane goes straight as well. Oh, so the Don Valley Parkway is over there. La 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 la. These 2 lanes, but why
Okay,
did
so you need in this lane, just not the lane you right to the right, where everybody is lined up here.
it says go straight in 70 meters?
Stay in the
but
second or
this
third
says
lane
Don
from
Valley
left.
Parkway. This is the one that's going straight now. You need to be in the lane 1 over, I think.
All right, I'll
Look
see
at-
if I can get over. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. Why did it say, oh, now it says 30 meters Highway 401. Why did it say 404? Was it keeping me from exiting at Shepherd Avenue?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, the other exit went to Shepherd Avenue.
See, they're still pulling in over here. You got to know the road, you know, then you can be in the right lane at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I like this way to come out. I don't know if it's going to save us any time, but there were a lot of little red sections on the map for 401, so we've missed a lot of them. 401 West beyond Leslie is right, the collector, 1 right lane closed. So that's if we had been coming from that way. Oh no, that would have been on the, we would have been going,
It would be on the other side, yeah. It would be
so it would have been the
direction,
opposite side
yeah.
anyway. These little stripes of blue in the sky. Road trip, road trip. fun to be on a road trip
Keep
with you,
left
Willem.
to Highway 401 East, then keep right.
I'll just stay in here and watch the signs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes she
Plan.
says left, but she meant right. Or she says right and she meant left. And maybe it's me, maybe I'm hearing it wrong, but her right and left sound exactly the same sometimes. So,
In 2 kilometers, take exit 14 onto
it was
North
very
Mills
nice
Road.
to be in the temple.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was very pleasant, very peaceful. So much light, it just fills you. I think that the light, when you have light in you, because the more you're attracted to the light and to goodness, the better you become. And so as you become filled with light, I think the light is a protection. And I think it's like the light brings along the accompaniment.
This.
The light brings along the accompaniment of angels. And I don't think you get it when you're full of darkness. I think that you're it's amazing that it's a power. The light has power.
Yeah.
And light is also called, in other words, light and truth. Light is intelligence. Light, intelligence, and light and truth are the same thing. So then, truth, if you are permeated with truth and you're not double-minded. I was thinking about the word double-minded today. You know, when you're double-minded, you don't have integrity, right? Single-minded, then you do. But if you're hiding some falsehood from yourself or from others and from God, and you know a truth, but you profess to not know it, then that's not having integrity. So go ahead, Guy. Go ahead.
In 5.3 kilometers, keep left onto McDonald-Cartier Freeway toward Express.
On the left toward Express.
Okay.
We're in the collectors.
That's all right. Collectors are good. They're moving. But we have to get out of this lane, I think. This is an
Yes.
exit lane. No, it adds an exit lane. We're okay. Yeah, because see, it adds it right up there. Nope. The lines are closer together. So here we're going straight. Oh, look at that. What's happening up ahead?
I'm not too sure.
But the traffic's moving beyond it, so it's okay.
Yeah,
I
but
guess.
it
Looks like we're on a city road now.
Everybody take a good look.
Something is getting towed away. Oh, he's got a flat tire. He'd rather get towed than fix his tire. I think it's important to know how long it takes you to change a tire. I think you should change a tire just to do it. Just take out your spare and put it on, and then you'll go through that whole little system, and then you'll know exactly what's involved, and you will have had a dry run through. And then when you're in your car by the highway in the dark, you'll know exactly what you need to do. Right, Willem? That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Look at all those cars. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines this way. Are we on the? We're not on the collectors anymore because the collectors left.
Yes, we are. See, that's those are the main or the.
Oh, so we want to get over there.
I think so, yeah, they're moving faster now.
It says in 3.7 kilometers we'll go onto the express.
Well, you might be there and switch, move your lanes
I don't
over.
think there's anything before that. Okay, I'll go in now.
That's good.
Well, it's almost news time. I love the news. It's another reason I don't make so many videos in the evening.
Getting this safe, and so it's like a bad Coen Brothers movie, but it wasn't that captivating because it didn't really.
Once after about 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, I've used up my energy. I get lots of energy in the morning and in the early part of the day. I can do a million things, but once I use up that energy, it's gone. And then I want to be fed. I want to be fed physically and I want to be fed mentally. And so I sit and I scour the television for information on current events all over the world. Doesn't matter what part of the world it's in. I'm interested. Well, that was a pothole. Good thing we weren't going 120.
Mm-hmm. So I inflated the tires to 32. They were a little bit below.
This car?
Yeah. It looks like it made quite a rattle. Maybe you should have left them at the lower pressure. No.
The sun looks like a bright spot in the cloud. I think I'm going to go over here if the sky doesn't mind. There we go. Thank you, sir. Oh wait, this is Kennedy and Brimley in 3 kilometers. Oh wait, they're going up that way, right? Because this way is 401. Warden Avenue. We have no memories on Warden Avenue. Oh yes, we do. We went this way once to avoid Islington or something. We went to see Scarlett, I think.
I don't remember that
There was a Warden. What, didn't we go on Warden once? I think
My memory is failing me here.
somebody lived down there. Islington is way back, but maybe we aren't going very fast, so maybe it seems like it was a long time ago. La 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 la. What's happening up ahead?
Closure.
I'm no longer a lost child out there somewhere, just dangling around out there.
The harrowing story of Debbie Paul on Unreserved with Rosanna Deerchild. Tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 in Newfoundland. And on the CBC Listen app. Listen to the world of CBC Audio, hit podcasts, music playlists, the latest on COVID-19. It's all at the tip of your fingers with the CBC Listen app. Totally free, and you can tune in anytime. The CBC Listen app. Download it today.
Then take the exit to Express.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Kaz Bovan. Toronto police say they're prepared to deal with a large protest outside Queen's Park tomorrow. It's part of the so-called Freedom Convoy demonstrations, calling for an end to public health restrictions and vaccine mandates. Megan Fitzpatrick reports.
Chief James Raymer says Toronto police are aiming to facilitate a peaceful protest while at the same time ensuring public safety, and that includes protecting the city's hospitals. A number of them are just down the street from Queen's Park, and there are concerns that staff and patients could be impacted by the protest. Police are deploying a heavy presence of officers to the area, closing down streets and adding surveillance cameras.
We have done our best to plan for this based on all the information we have.
A group of healthcare workers is organizing a protest of their own to help staff and patients move about safely. Dr. Philip Berger.
We're not going to be intimidated. We're not afraid. and we expect that the protesters will behave in a Canadian-like way.
Toronto Mayor John Tory says he has the same expectation.
Peaceful and respectful is the way we do things here.
Toronto residents are being asked to avoid the area tomorrow. Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News, Toronto.
More police are being deployed to the streets of Ottawa as the so-called Freedom Convoy protest there enters its 8th day. Ottawa Police Chief Peter Slowly says an additional 150 officers will be out on the streets watching for acts of hate, harassment, and any threatening behaviors. The RCMP will also offer support to the city police. Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson says it's time for the protest to wrap up.
But at the end of the day, these people have to go home. It's not helpful. Their cause is not being helped at all. I think public opinion, certainly in this city, is they've overstayed their welcome and it's time to move on. Now you're going to see a much more aggressive approach by our police.
More protesters are expected to arrive on this weekend, but police say they won't be allowed into the downtown core. The workers in downtown Ottawa have been on the receiving end of a barrage of noise pollution and harassment. Zara Nafar is a psychotherapist working in a clinic 2 blocks from Parliament Hill. She says she's had to cancel appointments with patients because the area is not safe.
There were a couple of people with swastikas on their arms, and they yelled racist remarks towards me, and all I was doing was wearing my mask and going to
Is that the last
where I
one?
worked.
Okay.
So we can't subject our staff to that kind of harassment, and we don't know what's going to come next.
Nafar says the protests are infringing on the right to have a safe workplace and access to mental health care. Quebec City's Winter Carnival is attracting a different sort of fanfare this weekend. Premier François Legault says police and tow trucks are at the ready ahead of a rally against COVID mandates this weekend. He's telling residents to enjoy Carnival festivities and not to worry about the protest.
So far it's going well, and I want to make sure that it stays this way. And I will not accept that we start insulting citizens at the entry of restaurants or whatever. So we are very careful, and there's no tolerance.
The first of several protest convoys arrived in the city last night. Protest organizers are demanding an end to provincial vaccine and mask mandates and all other restrictions.
It is as Canadian as hockey. It separates us from our neighbors to the south.
BC Premier John Horgan is talking about public health care. In a joint conference with provincial and territorial premiers, Horgan stressed all the premiers need for more health care funding from Ottawa. He says the services provided across Canada are not sustainable in their current model.
This is about providing services for people. It's about wait times. It's about human resources in our healthcare system. Public health care is precious to us all, but it needs to be nurtured, and it needs an influx of cash from Ottawa, not as money that is Ottawa's, but money that is Canadian.
The premiers are calling on Ottawa to renew its cost-sharing partnership. Healthcare is the largest single expenditure for provinces and territories. It's your world this hour. For CBC News, I'm Kaz Bowman.
Thanks very much, Kaz. It is -11 in the city. I'm Mary Ito, filling in for Jill Deacon. Welcome to Here and Now.
I like
What seems
CBC
to be a
radio.
constant these days, whatever you thought yesterday about the pandemic may not be true today. And maybe that applies to COVID vaccines and policies around them. We'll check in with epidemiologist Colin Furness about whether we need to rethink our vaccine passports. Do you remember 2 years ago we publicly praised our hospital workers? We banged pots and pans in their honor. Well, today they may be asked not to wear their uniforms in the downtown core on the weekend. We will find out why. And coming up, pop culture columnist Brad Simon Pillay takes us back more than 100 years to discuss Black movie history. But right now we're going to see how traffic is doing at this time. How is it going, Darren?
Well, we still have some heavy traffic in the downtown core today, Mary. That's according to Toronto Police. They're preparing for this weekend's demonstrations at Queen's Park by closing off a few roads to protect nearby hospitals, closures at Queen's Park South at Bloor Street West. Also road closures from University Avenue between College Street and Queen, and College Street from University Avenue to Yonge Street are also closed. Now look at the highways in our city. A few problems on the 401 West and the Express. At Allen Road, one center lane is closed because of a stalled vehicle. At Weston, one right lane is closed because of a stalled vehicle. And in the collectors at Leslie, one right lane is closed because of a stalled vehicle.
We're past all
and
those.
let's take a look at TTC. This weekend, there will be no subway service between Finch and St. Clair stations for signal system installations, but shuttle buses will run. And now let's have a look at some essential information. A school vaccine clinic on now at Rick Hansen Secondary School.
So we're out
it's
of
on
the city
Dreamcrest
now, right?
Road in Mississauga. It is open until 7:30 tonight. Walk-ins are available for first and second doses for anyone born in 2010 or earlier. Go to peelregion.ca for more information.
Thanks, Dahlia. And Nick joins us. Nick, tonight I think I might need to wear an extra layer because I am heading out.
Oh, you are? Okay. Yeah, an extra couple layers, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be cold again. We're sitting at minus 11 right now. Overnight tonight, down to minus 17. And the wind chills through the overnight as well, minus 25. Even through the evening, though. I mean, we're looking at temperatures in the minus teens and the wind chills close to minus 20. So it's definitely going to be a cold one for the next, day and a half or so.
And that's in Toronto.
Partly cloudy skies tonight. Tomorrow, look for sunshine, high of minus 9, and wind chill still at minus 14. Again, outdoor plans probably best for Sunday, but if you've got them on Saturday, just make sure you bundle up there.
That's for sure, Nick. That's for sure. All right, and we have a news update now. Jasmine joins us. What stories are you following?
Well, this afternoon, the jury came back with a verdict in its inquest looking into the death of 4 men and the scaffolding collapse that happened in 2009. It determined the cause of death of the men was an accident. The jury also listed several recommendations to the Ministry of Labor to prevent similar accidents in the future. And Toronto police charged a 17-year-old boy with second-degree murder for the shooting death of a taxi driver last October. He appeared in court earlier today. The teenager was arrested about a week ago in British Columbia. The Toronto Homicide Squad brought him back to Ontario today to appear in court.
Thank you, Jasmine. It is 5:08 with indoor spaces back open in the province. People are once again digging for their phones and wallets to provide proof of vaccination. With the transmissibility of Omicron, no shortage of public health experts have recommended that the rules be changed to require 3 doses of a vaccine to enter places like movie theaters and gyms. But yesterday, Chief Medical Officer of Health Kieran Moore seemed to suggest a move in the opposite direction. He said, quote, "We have to reassess whether we maintain a proof of vaccination certification process given the decreased benefit against transmission." Colin Furness is an infection control epidemiologist and an assistant professor at the University of Toronto and joins us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, I mean, it's difficult to know exactly what Dr. Moore was saying, what the meaning was behind that, but just based on what you know, what about the idea of reassessing whether we maintain our proof of vaccination process?
I think these policies should always be scrutinized. We should always be looking at, are we doing this in the smartest possible way? But I really disagree with him engaging in public communication that way. We know everywhere where politicians or public health people cast doubt on the future of vaccination rates then fall right off. We saw it happen here. We saw it happen actually very sharply in New Brunswick in the summer when the Premier said we might need to bring this to an end. And this is a bad idea. Whether or not we have mandates, we want people to get vaccinated. And so we have to think carefully about how we communicate, how we plan, how we strategize, and what we expect the public to do. But the number one thing is, even with slightly reduced effectiveness, our best way out of this, our best way to preserve our healthcare system is to get people vaccinated.
Now, we've heard people like yourself say that, yes, 2 doses of the vaccine help prevent against serious illness, but they don't really prevent against infection in the first place. So, I mean, in that sense, if 2 doses, they aren't really doing that much for us, what is the benefit in the vaccine passport system? What benefit is it providing right now?
Well, I think that's an excellent question. If it were up to me, I would require 3 shots to go into an unmasked place, like a gym, a restaurant, a movie theater, because that is relatively high risk for everybody. So you want everyone to have maximum protection to keep them out of the hospital, even if they do get infected. So I think that's really important. Do we need to mandate a third shot for everybody across the board? Not necessarily, and I think that's a good example of where looking at the evidence and deciding what burden to put on the public do we need to do, and what are we trying to accomplish? We definitely want to keep people out of hospital, and 2 shots seems to be pretty good at doing that. That may change months from now if we look at waning immunity. So again, we should always be scrutinizing this and always being trying to be, I would say, sort of current, up to date, and smart, really, about what we're asking people to do. But I think 3 shots for high risk environments is a good idea.
And you talk about nudging the vaccine hesitant. Now, at this point, it's about 10% or so of the population that is not vaccinated. Are they likely to change their minds?
Some won't. I mean, if you look at the Omicron boy in Ottawa and now coming to Toronto, there are some people who are just absolutely dead set against going along with public health, and there's a wide range there, but that's a very violent expression of we will not comply. And no, I don't think there's anything you can do with that group. But there's another group that is more or less apathetic, self-interested, apathetic, and maybe not so keen on the idea, but not dead set against it. And when we look at what Quebec did, for example, to say, well, now if you want to buy cannabis or alcohol, you need to have vaccine credential. All of a sudden, vaccination rates went way up. So there's a whole group that will do it if you make life a little less convenient, which is very different than forcing, but also very different from standing up in public and saying maybe we should dismantle our vaccination certificate. So I see a role for making life more convenient for the vaccinated, less convenient for the unvaccinated, still leaving people personal agency.
It was the alcohol,
now, the fact
right?
that we do have such a high vaccination
you
rate,
couldn't buy
we have
alcohol
that
without a
10%
vaccine.
or so who are not vaccinated. What kind of impact does that 10% actually have on the population?
I think people living under the shadow of the Omicron boy would say some of that 10% can be pretty destabilizing. That can be a very, very loud group. In terms of the actual public health piece or the transmissibility, it's still pretty significant. 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 1.5 million people in
So it's
Ontario.
getting to be rush hour
1.5
here.
million people,
Are we still in Pickering or are we in Ajax?
Up in the hospital, that can actually really overwhelm. And so I think that's why we really want to chip away at that group. We don't want to stop at 90. We want to keep going. And again, not at gunpoint, but in terms of nudging, in terms of encouraging, in terms of being able to continually point to the evidence that says these vaccines aren't perfect, but they're working and they're really helping, and that's why they're important.
If we actually had a scenario where the province did drop proof of vaccination, who would you be most concerned about?
Well, obviously, I'm going to be, I guess there's a few groups. I'm going to be most concerned about those most vulnerable, and we can say there's 3 categories. There's kids under 5 who have older siblings, right, who we can't saran wrap, we can't keep them protected, and, so they have some of the worst outcomes with Omicron. The hospitalization rate under 5 is really high. So I'm really worried about that group. I'm really worried about elderly people, especially in congregate settings, but the older you are, the weaker your immune system is, vaccine or not. And so if you desist in trying to get people to be vaccinated, you're going to put that group at risk too. And then there's a whole wide range of people in between who have health conditions, quite a few health conditions. We're talking about a lot of people who are either immune compromised in some way or have vascular difficulties. There's a long list of things that make you more susceptible. So there's a whole wide range of people for whom this isn't over, and for whom if you pull back on vaccination, life actually gets worse.
And what if we had the opposite scenario, when the definition of fully vaccinated changes to, what you were recommending, 2 doses plus a booster, and you still have the proof of vaccination, that's still in place. How much safer would indoor spaces become?
It would be a big step forward, but we also have to watch the immunity wanes over time. So we just don't want to. We don't want to rely on one thing. We don't want to say vaccinate our way out of this and ignore everything else. We should be mandating air quality standards in places like restaurants and gyms and movie theaters, and the government should pay for that because these sectors have been really, really slammed. But it's foolish for us to have our heads in the sand and say we we need vaccination and maybe masks, and let's not bother solving the root problem, which is shared air. So we should be tackling that as well. I'll go to a restaurant with everyone having 3 shots and filtered air and good ventilation. I'll do that. That's pretty much the only circumstances I would right now.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, any projections as to how things with Omicron are going to sort of pan out in the next while?
It's getting harder and harder to predict. At this time last year, it was crystal clear to me what was going to happen because we were making such horrible mistakes that the writing was on the wall. At this point, we're doing half measures, and Omicron is retreating as it does, not because of what we're doing, but because these things go in waves. And so it's retreating, and we can make lots of mistakes, and it's going to continue to retreat. And the question is that subvariant going to come and give us a mini wave on top of this? Is there going to be another variant that emerges? If the answer to those questions is no, then I think we're going to see COVID not disappear, but really recede to the point that we can kind of feel normal into the spring and through the summer. That's my hope. That's my optimism.
Right.
No guarantees.
And if we do achieve a kind of normal, though, are vaccines still here to stay?
I think they become more important because once we get normal, what we really want to do is keep normal. This idea of boom and bust, let's do nothing until things get horrible and then let's lock down. This is what's exhausting people. It's just absolutely exhausting financially and emotionally and in all ways. So I think what we want to do is say, look, now that COVID isn't everywhere, let's vaccinate, let's take care of that, let's fix air quality, let's become resilient so if another variant does show up, we're ready, and then we can stay open.
Yeah, thanks very much for your thoughts on all this, Colin.
My pleasure, thanks.
That's Colin Furness. He's an infection control epidemiologist and an assistant professor at the University of Toronto. And now we're going to bring in some new music from Toronto rapper DJ SB. This is their new single, Green Line, featuring Terrell Morris.
That was very interesting, don't you think?
Yeah, it was.
In what way?
Well, so the strategy is interesting to tackle the disease. So like the last little bit, I think was quite good. To when the COVID is not everywhere and your acid and alligators, and when that's over, you have some time to do some preparation, be prepared for the next one.
What do you think about the situation in Toronto versus Ottawa?
Well, I hope they succeed. They seem to have taken a lesson from our failures in Ottawa, and hopefully what they do is working much better.
In Ottawa, there was a report on yesterday, somebody went around interviewing, and it turns out that a certain amount of them were let into Parliament Hill, and then the rest were diverted. There were 30 different places that they were diverted to. So there's all these parking lots that are full up with people that are sort of living there now. They don't have a job to go back to, and they have time on their hands. They're sitting in their trucks, they're letting them idle constantly so that they can blow the horn all the time. And then they're carrying in gasoline. They had put up propane tanks and they were building some kind of a wooden structure behind the art gallery, which that was dismantled. But they had like a kitchen there. So they're in for the duration. They think that they can outlast the Canadian government.
No, I hope they can.
They're going to sit there till the pandemic is over.
Yeah, I agree that too. So hopefully they get a swift lesson that they are not going to like that. They're going to be kicked out.
I think they need to be ticketed from the air. They've got everybody's license plates. It's all on the satellite. And all the
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
all these people that are parked illegally, they should be ticketed. But if they don't want to go up and ticket them in person, then they should ticket them online, so that they know, so that nobody is at risk
Yeah, I think
of
it's
handing
excellent.
them a ticket.
I think it's an excellent idea.
They should be ticketed.
Being the owner of a truck who's idling, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then the noise violations.
Yeah.
And like you said before, people who are being kept from sleep, they can sue. They can press charges for assault. I mean, it's okay to come and protest and hang around, have a sit-in. We had sit-ins when I was young. You could have a sit-in. That's fine. Kind of hard to do it when it's snowing on you, but they didn't bother all the residents that live nearby. It's just not nice. They say that we're loving and kind and everything is wonderful, and the media is only saying the bad stuff. But you know, the bad stuff...
There shouldn't be any bad stuff. That's the thing.
And if there are groups that have come and infiltrated them to stir up trouble, they should be stopped. They should be, I don't know. They should be arrested when they do things. But they have to have a police presence on the street.
Yeah,
they do have the RCMP on their horses.
Well, they have brought in reinforcements, so hopefully, and they're patrolling the streets now much more frequently. So hopefully they're looking out for that kind of nasty stuff,
That was a change from this morning, right? This morning they were saying, no, we don't want to stir up trouble. But now they're saying they're going to get ticketed for all these things, which is very important.
Yes.
The law has to be followed. The only way to change laws is from within. It doesn't happen. If you have a coup and you take over the government, what are you left with? Who's going to govern that? And what do they believe in? You're going to get all these thugs that think they're in charge. That's why we vote. We vote people to see it our way. Please some of the people all the time and all of the people some of the time, but you can't please all of the people all the time. So theoretically, a government is pleasing most of the people, most of the time. And as soon as it isn't, then you have an election and you can change who it is. It's good to have frequent elections,
Yes and no. Like elections, like long-term planning is difficult to achieve. People just think about staying in power and they don't look down 20 years down the road or something like that, right? So the only thing is focused on the 4 years of it, or for people out the legislature way out there. Everybody's nasty. The judges might be nasty. The police might be nasty.
My phone overheated at some point.
Yeah, you mentioned it to me.
It was very odd. I mean, it was plugged in. It's happened a couple times now. It's not plugged in now. But it was overheating. And then so I had to get out of, or it got out of everything, and so I had to go back into the live when we were sitting in traffic going nowhere.
No, why would it overheat? Just go to...
I don't know. I think my phone is on the blink. I think that the battery is... I don't know. I think they have a built-in defective date. Look, there's the water. That's Lake Ontario. We spent the day at the temple today, and we're on our way home. So we'll be driving into the night. We drove out of the night into the daytime, and now we're driving out of the daytime into the night. I'm surrounded. I'm behind a truck, which I like to be behind because he's got a constant speed. And I'm not as likely to have people weaving in and out. I might.
Yeah, you
Maybe
might
they
have
will.
weavers.
But I don't-
Whenever you leave a gap like this, it'll be filled.
And so then I just hang back a little more. I keep my distance. I always have my 2-second rule. But sometimes it's a longer rule. Because there's all this crap that goes on with other drivers, yes?
Yeah, so when I was taking drivers in Calgary, just learned how to drive, they had a 4-second rule. Stay so 4 seconds behind the next car in front of you. And here you can't have that. If you leave 2-second gap, somebody will get in the middle of it. But then you just have to hang a little bit farther back, which I just did.
I'm glad the weather is good now. I mean, it's not snowing and the roads are white from the salt, but they're dry. We washed our car before we left Toronto because our windshields, all the windows were so white with salt that we couldn't see out. And even the windshield wipers, it was just leaving a small area compared to what we needed. So now I have a whole view all the way around. I have to see everything, you know. It's important to know what's going on around you when you're on a highway. I like CBC Radio. I like the broadcast. It's not politically skewed or anything. It's just the facts. Maybe some people think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's good. It's a Canadian broadcasting company, so we all get the it'll be very dark when we get home. Yeah.
Well, since it's around 6-ish or something like that, or maybe a little after 6. And it's cloudy, so yeah.
Yeah, it's getting dark later. Look at that. It's 5:30 and it's still light out.
Yeah, like a month ago it would have been pitch dark.
I drive until it's dark, and then Willem drives from there. This morning he drove from when it was dark way past when it got light out. In fact, you drove the whole way. I'm glad that our appointment wasn't until 10:30. That was helpful.
It was.
It's an awful thing to not go out because it was so beautiful. And I kept looking at it thinking I really should be out there, but I was completely not interested and I just wanted to sit in that chair, and so I did. I gained 5 pounds sitting in that chair yesterday.
That's quite a way to put things.
I did. I weigh myself at night, and it was a big heavy day. I must have eaten a whole bunch I shouldn't have eaten. I dip dates in peanut butter, but I'd rather have something that is less calories than peanut butter and less calories than dates. But if I want something sweet, dates is good, and they're too sweet by themselves, so dates and peanut butter works well for me.
Police shut down a
long stretch of University Avenue south of the legislature.
I'm
and
back.
in advance of the actual
I don't know what happened.
The public should expect a large police presence in and around the downtown core and other areas around the city at different times over the weekend.
That's
Police
Toronto.
Chief James Raymer. Officers have been directed to keep their body cams on.
What is GFL?
Embedded extra CCTV cameras to help any potential investigations. And they're monitoring online activity for any possible hate speech. The chief says, unlike in Ottawa, in front of the Parliament, large vehicles will not be allowed to remain parked in front of the legislature.
If their intention is to demonstrate, then they can travel by foot or public transit to Queen's Park and they can demonstrate in person. But vehicles will not be congregating around Queen's Park.
Today, Premier Doug Ford said he's spoken with mayors in both Toronto and Ottawa.
Any harassment or acts of violence will have zero tolerance. The people are occupying Ottawa. Folks, let's put an end to this.
All officials say access to the hospitals south of Queen's Park needs to be kept open. Lorenda Ruddick, CBC News, Toronto.
Premiers from across the country joined in a virtual news conference today calling on the federal government to provide more money through the Canada Health Transfer. Dale Manukduk is following this story and joins us live from Michael Garron Hospital with the details. Dale.
Hey, Jasmine, what they're asking for is an increase to the Canada Health Transfer, or CHT, which is meant to provide predicting 7 to 8% every year. 10 years to improve hospitals and $324 million to help alleviate the surgery backlog. Jasmine?
Thanks very much. That's Dale Manukduk with the report that we took from him live. We're hearing new details now about a deadly shooting in Markham Tuesday night. The CBC's Greg Ross has the latest from the scene.
Residents on Purple Finch Road in Markham are still in shock after multiple gunshots were fired just steps from their homes. I spoke with one woman who heard the gunshots and saw at least part of what happened Tuesday night. She did not want to be identified out of concern for her safety, but told me this.
I heard pop, 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 pop. And I saw 3 young men running down the street. And then I saw a car go racing. Car hit one of the young men and he was thrown onto the road.
She says the SUV crashed into a snowbank at the end of the street. After several minutes, emergency crews arrived, and she says paramedics attended to the young man that was hit by the car, as well as one of the passengers in the SUV.
Other paramedics took the young man out of the back seat, and they were working on him. They were doing the CPR.
York Regional Police say that there was one victim who died of gunshot wounds. They said a second person who is not considered to be a victim was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. York Police will not say if any charges have been laid. Greg Ross, CBC News, Markham.
And the jury in a coroner's inquest into the 2009 death of 4 men in a scaffolding collapse has come back with a verdict, found the cause of death of the men an accident, and has listed several recommendations to the Ministry of Labour. Bara Morelli reports.
More than a decade after one of the province's worst ever construction accidents, closure of sorts for the families of the victims.
So when the snow is on the ground, if the snow is deep enough, like they like to eat the grasses, the dried things that are the big tall dried weeds and things. But if the snow is covering them, then they will just work on the bottom. Often the bottom of corner cedar. What do you think?
There's one in Quebec City, there's one in Winnipeg today. And also this whole situation on the border in Coutts, Alberta, with truckers